Hello, today is Sunday, February 23rd. It's 12:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm sitting in my apartment. It's a beautiful day outside. There is not a cloud in the sky. And I'm just very grateful for the days where the sun is out because this winter has been treacherously long. But I decided to start this vlog today. Starting a vlog was like something that I had been thinking about doing for a while. Like I thought about this like vlog called The Process, where like we get into like my creative process or whatever. But I was kind of like, oh, that's the kid in my hallway. She'd be running up and down the halls. I was kind of like, I don't really want to like invest so much energy into crafting a vlog when I could just work on my craft. And so I kind of just like put that on the back burner. But there are a couple of things in the past month that have made me reconsider doing a video log. And one is I was really inspired by Dochi's old vlogs. I kept seeing how people were recirculating like that video of her saying that she had just got fired from her job 5 years ago and now she's won the Grammy. And I watched one of her vlogs about her going through the Artist's Way weekly kind of program. I've read that book years ago when I lived in Chicago. I lived in Chicago from like 2012 to 2016. And the second video that she posted about it, where she's like really frustrated and angry with like not making progress, and she's really just like, I'm just about to be crazy and have the audacity, and it's not about talent, it's about audacity, and those things like really resonated with me, because I've been very frustrated as well. I think my frustration is also personal frustration of being a woman that is in her mid to late 30s now and has been creating for quite some time, and has, had a very like winding road experience creating, starting in music and then DJing and then community building and event curating and designing and then leading all the way into film, which makes me feel finally like all of that motion makes sense because it's a medium that combines multiple mediums in one, which is what I need as someone who can express myself across different realms. And so I started this year kind of like having like an existential crisis about getting older and not getting closer to being able to start a family, also not getting closer to being able to just do my art for a living, which is something that I feel worthy of. It took me a long time to feel worthy of that, but I definitely feel like that is my calling and my purpose. I've always felt that, but it was always like me pushing that voice down because of what other people were saying or whatever my personal limiting beliefs about it were. So I really related to that, and I like that it's just a video of her on her laptop. It's bare bones. She has no makeup on. She's just herself. Everything doesn't have to be crafted and like overly produced, and I think that's something that I've also been relearning as well. The other thing that made me want to start a vlog is a conversation I had yesterday with my cousin Camilla. Hi Camilla, I love you. Where she was really praising me for how determined and disciplined I am. And it was funny because I got the same message from my friend Dorian. Hi Dorian, love you too. Later that same day when we went out for drinks, and he mentioned like my discipline and determination. And I felt that it was important to start this blog because I feel like even the people closest to you don't always see all of the messiness and murkiness that goes into that. My partner sees it because he lives with me, and we're so attuned to each other and like know our ebbs and flows, and we're both creatives too. So like there's like an understanding there. But this shit is not fucking easy. And I don't want anyone to ever think that it's just an effortless thing, or like that I'm always disciplined and always determined, because there's a lot of times where I put so much energy into something that I like run out of steam and I'm just like, I fucking can't anymore. And that's what I was experiencing this week. Over the fall leading into the winter, I shot a spec commercial for Adidas Sambas, because I'm learning very quickly as a woman director, as a director in general, but specifically as a woman director, you really do have to have an expansive portfolio to be noticed. And I have just been thinking about, like, what being a filmmaker professionally will look like for me. The film industry is in complete flux right now. I hope that there are some changes that will happen for the good, but I do think that it's going to be quite some time before we see that. But what I've noticed is that a lot of directors sustain themselves by directing commercial work, because you're not always getting booked to shoot a film. And there are very few prolific women directors of any race. So for Black women, it's even more, uncommon for us to have, 20, 30, 40 films, 50 films that we've done under our belt, like a Sidney Lumet or Alfred Hitchcock or Martin Scorsese or whoever. So I've just been wanting to transition out of my my freelance work that I've been doing for the last 6 years as a creative producer, and mostly an experiential, into commercial directing. Because, at least I'm doing something that will help me pay my bills and also help me exercise my muscle as a director. So I shot this spec. It's looking great. My partner was my cinematographer. He had just upgraded all his camera equipment, and the footage is looking really great. I busted my ass getting this footage down from 3.5 hours to 1 minute. And the 1 minute cut is kind of more like a rough cut. It's more like, this is what the direction I'm going. But I have very rudimentary editing skills. And I'm learning that, like, commercial editing is very different from narrative editing. With narrative editing, you kind of have, like, you have a script, you have a script to kind of guide how you're editing, to guide the pacing of something. Especially for me, like, I write and direct, so I understand how that pacing is supposed to play out on the screen. Whereas commercial directing is a very specific skill. And so I realized that I'm not gonna be able to take this spec that I've been busting my ass over the last couple months to the finish line on my own. I'm gonna have to outsource an editor. And on top of that, I also need a colorist so that it looks good. The footage looks good on its own, but that professional coloring is what really is gonna make it feel like a commercial for my portfolio. And you don't wanna do a portfolio piece half-assed. You wanna really show, like, what you're capable of. And all of that costs money that I can't really spend because I'm in the midst of my slow season as a freelancer. And so without having that to focus on, I'm like, oh, okay, so, like, what am I doing every day? And some people are just like, well, yeah, like, you have free time, just, like, chill, just relax. And I can do those things, I'll take a nap if I need to. I'll binge watch something if I want to. But when you have a calling, when you have something, like, pulling at you, I think that's the thing a lot of people don't get. It's like, when we talk about determination and discipline, it almost seems like it's coming from a space of will, just sheer will. And yes, that's definitely part of it. But I also feel like there's this spiritual element to it where, like, something else is driving you to continue pushing forward and doing the thing. there have been times where like for example with this spec commercial, I don't have the strongest attention span, and I can't really edit for long stretches of time. But there was a point in this edit where I was like, I need to get this cut down to something usable. And I stayed in bed for like 7 or 8 hours straight editing this shit. I don't think that was just my personal will. That was some other shit. And some people might say, well, that's ADHD. Sometimes you can hyper focus or whatever. Whatever. All I know is that my determination and discipline is divinely guided. And it also has a lot of moments where shit is not sweet. Shit is rough. It's like, this is a perfect example. You see this setting that I'm in? This looks nice for the most part, right? It looks like a neat, nice setting. But if you go over here, you see all my little equipment. Well, it's my boyfriend's equipment, but my apartment's a mess. Like, I feel like that's the perception, right? Like, people are like, oh, you're so together, because they see the outcome of what you're doing. They don't see all the mess and the murkiness that goes with it. And so, this is why I have started this vlog, because I want to show more of that. And hopefully it resonates with other artists, other people, because, you know, we're all here. We all have an assignment. We all have an assignment. Some of our assignment is to heal. Some it's to organize. Some people it's to litigate, to be caretakers, whatever it is. And my thing is, I really want to make sure that I'm always showing up for my assignment, because our time here is very limited. And as I get older, the more I feel like really uncomfortable continuing to be in survival mode and put all my energy in spaces that I know that I wasn't meant to be in. So, welcome to my journey.